ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
Who else could it be? Me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to Thursday Night Football Overtime. Bucs, Eagles. A lot closer game than I thought it would be at the end. Remember, I told you guys I thought this would be a one-score game going into the fourth quarter, and then the Buccaneers would pull away. That's their move, usually. Well, they got the fireworks started early in this game and then shut them off in the fourth quarter. So they took a 28-7 lead midway through the third quarter, and this thing looked like it was over. And I felt like the Buccaneers kind of just went into preserve mode. Like, okay, we got this game. We really don't need to press. And they almost allowed the Eagles to come back and steal this one from them. Some clutch plays by the offense. A great catch by Antonio Brown. That was not a great ball by Brady. If the cornerback didn't panic and actually saw the ball, he could have knocked it away because that ball was behind AB on that critical 3rd and 7. But nonetheless, that's why AB is AB. Makes the catch, gets the first down. That was pretty much all she wrote. I mean, they did get one more first down, which allowed them to then run out the clock and take knees and put this one to bed. But got to give the Eagles credit for hanging tough in this football game. It was a valiant effort. But when it's all said and done, this Eagles football team offensively is disgusting to watch. And it starts with their head coach, Nick Sirianni. Got to get this man's name right, even though I don't think he'll be around for very long. Nick Sirianni. He's a first-time play caller. This is why you don't hire guys that are offensive play callers that haven't ever done it before to be your head coach and call plays. It means a lot to call plays and be the head coach. Now, add into the fact that he's never done it before, you can tell because he has no sense of balance. He won't run the football, refuses to get Miles Sanders involved in his offense, and he's one of their best players. We saw what happened when they finally decided to run the damn ball, which usually you can't run it against Tampa. So you always try to cut people a bit of slack when it comes to running against Tampa Bay because usually it's a no-no. But I think Tampa Bay, too, got guilty of thinking they're not going to run it. Okay, they don't like running the ball. They're allergic and anemic in that department, and unless it's Jalen Hurts. And frankly, if you ask me, the Eagles have 2 running backs on the field at all times because Jalen Hurts is a running back that just happens to be able to throw. I mean, you see his numbers tonight. They're gross yet again. This has been his thing all season long. The completion percentage is in the dumps. When you look at his touchdown interception ratio, it's not awful, but it's not great. To me, it's tough watching him play football sometimes because the inaccuracy, he doesn't read the field well, and we know what he is. He's a guy that is dangerous with his legs, but who's afraid of his arm? I mean, he missed some throws tonight that you want your quarterback to hit. And I think they could really do him a better service because I think they're doing him a disservice right now by not incorporating the run game. I think they're putting too much pressure on Jalen Hurts to operate this offense and to be everything. The running back, the quarterback, the facilitator. It's tough when you have to do everything and you're not having the crutch or the help of a run game. And they got a back that can actually give them some quality yards on the ground. I don't understand the refusal to use Miles Sanders offensively. It's mind-boggling, actually, and it doesn't make much of any sense to me. But that's nor here nor there. The real story of this game wasn't Jalen Hurts or the offense. It's the Eagles' defense being as bad as it was for 3 quarters, essentially. I was shocked because the reason I thought this would be a one-score game going into the fourth quarter was because of the Eagles' defense. I thought their defense would play a lot better than it did tonight. They played off and they played soft, and you could tell they were shook by Brady in that offense. They weren't as aggressive like they were against Sam Darnold last week. Tight on these receivers and challenging all the throws. They were off and soft, and they didn't want to give up anything cheap or deep. And I get that. At the same time, at some point, you got to man up and say, all right, enough's enough. And it took them until the fourth quarter, essentially, where I thought the Buccaneers, and I was going to come up here and praise, their offensive coordinator, Byron Leftwich, for a hell of a game plan and a hell of an execution of it. And then I just felt like, for whatever reason, I'll give you a great example. The Eagles score their second touchdown of the night. It's 28-14. And they come out and they throw it 3 straight times. And I'm like, why the hell did you just do that and go 3 and out? I'm like, you've been killing the Eagles on the ground. They cannot stop Leonard Fournette. There was another possession in there where they couldn't stop Ronald Jones. Like, what are you doing? What was this? And they didn't just come out and throw it 3 times. They came out and emptied 2 of the 3 plays. And I'm like, are you serious right now? You're really going to do this at this point in the game when the Eagles finally feel like they've got a little bit of momentum, the crowd's getting back involved in the game? You're really going to just drop back Brady and throw it 3 times when you're having success on the ground? And they went 3 and out. And who didn't see that coming? So just as I was ready to praise Byron Leftwich, he goes and does that. But at the end, he totally redeemed himself, down the stretch. And some of that is really just Brady at the end of the day. And we saw Gannon, the defensive coordinator for the Eagles, start to get a little aggressive, tried to heat Brady up at the end there. And it's Tom Brady. So, Brady found Cameron Brate on a second down where they tried to heat him up, picked up about 7 or 8, got into the 3rd and 1. Brady quarterback sneak. He's been the best in the business at that for the last 2 decades. Game, set, match. Everybody drive home safely. So I thought it was a valiant effort by the Eagles. Thought their defense didn't wake up until the 4th quarter. I thought the Buccaneers aided them with some of their play calling down the stretch, but that's nor here nor there. I don't give a shit what the Buccaneers are doing. You still got to go out and get the stops. The Eagles did that. Unfortunately for them, too little, too late when they needed to stop. And that's the biggest thing that I always look at when I talk about defenses in football games is, yeah, you can give it up. And the Eagles gave it up for about 2.5 quarters defensively. But when they needed to stop late, you couldn't get it. And that's when it hurts, is because they needed the ball back. The Eagles offense, even though it was really reliant upon pass interferences, at one point, the Eagles had more pass interference yards than Jalen Hurts had passing yards in the game. And the Eagles actually didn't hit 100 total yards of offense until the 4th quarter. So they were anemic offensively for much of this football game. But again, the Buccaneers, for whatever reason, and they don't usually do this. Normally, they keep their foot on the gas pedal. And they usually they don't take it easy on anybody. They put up 45 on everybody's skull when you give them the opportunity. I thought they were too content tonight with just, hey, these guys are harmless. Like, even going for it there on 4th and 2, I thought Brady should have hit Giovanni Bernard. Over the middle of the field. He had a Texas route. I thought he won against the linebacker. Why are we throwing it to O.J. Howard on a corner route there? Why? On the 7. What are we doing? Like, that's unnecessary. You need 2 yards. Just throw it to Giovanni Bernard over the middle of the football field and move the sticks. I didn't think and I agree with Troy Aikman really on and I get it. You got Brady, you got, AB, you got Mike Evans, you got Godwin, you got Brate, you got all these weapons you can get the football to. I get it. But at 28-14, the Eagles offense was essentially harmless at that point. The one thing you didn't want to do was give them field position, because if you punted that thing, it's fair caught at the 8, and they got to go 92 yards. Good luck. Unless they get a couple of pass interference penalties, good luck with them getting all the way down the field in a timely manner that's not going to gobble up the rest of the 4th quarter clock, because they were having a tough time doing anything offensively, especially through the air. But by them deciding to go for it, not getting it, giving the Eagles the football essentially at midfield, a couple of big Miles Sanders runs, and just like that, they were inside the red zone, inside the 15-yard line, and next thing you know, they were in the end zone. So I thought that the Buccaneers made a string of poor decisions that helped this game get a lot tighter than it needed to. But again, when the plays needed to be made and when it was winning time, they stepped up, made the plays. Brady was outstanding on that final drive, including rolling out and throwing to his right and hitting AB on that critical 3rd and 7 to move the sticks and ultimately help salt away this football game. Defensively, we know that the Buccaneers have issues in that secondary. They actually didn't play too poorly tonight for all the issues. You could argue that there were a couple of pass interferences not called that could have been, especially the one in the end zone, the Quez Watkins. It didn't matter. The Eagles ultimately scored on 4th down anyway, so it's not a big deal. But I thought they held up well, especially after Dick Sherman went down and having to go, to your bench. I mean, deep into your bench. They're already on their bench with all the guys they have out at the cornerback position. Thank God for Jamel Dean coming back from injury last week against Miami, because had he still been out, who knows what the hell they would have done tonight at the cornerback position. I mean, they're way down on the depth chart. And with Dick Sherman getting injured, it's really ugly. This 10-day layoff couldn't have come soon enough for the Buccaneers. They'll lick their wounds, and hopefully they'll get a guy or two back next week when they look to take on I think what they say, the Chicago Bears next. So it'll be interesting to see if they get some of those players back or not. But I actually thought the secondary held up pretty well tonight, considering the circumstances. And I didn't think they did a good enough job. Boy, the Buccaneers are fast on defense. Devin White, and I thought Shaq Barrett, even though he couldn't catch Jalen Hurts, did a great job of harassing him. I thought they would spy Hurts with, Joe Tryon, Shoyinka. They tried to. His agility wasn't good, especially on one of those early runs where he stopped, turned, and went the other way, and Joe Tryon Shoyinka fell on the ground, and then he took off and ended up getting the first down. I didn't think they played the read option well enough in this game. They knew it was coming. I don't think they played it well enough. They had a couple of nice stops, but they were able to really get to the edge, and I didn't think they would be able to do that. Hurts hurt them with his legs on a couple of touchdown runs. The fourth down one was the one that was egregious because somebody needs to be outside. There was no contain there. I think JPP got washed inside, but I really thought that the linebacker, Devin White, could have gotten outside there too. I think you had two guys pretty much in the same vicinity. That can't happen when you're rushing a guy like Jalen Hurts. Somebody's got to stay outside and keep that outside contained. No one did. He got outside, got in the end zone. But outside of that, I really thought they did a pretty good job defensively. I mean, like I said, the Eagles didn't have 100 yards of total offense until the fourth quarter. And literally their first two touchdowns were only had because of pass interference penalties that netted the Eagles big gains. So this defense, I thought, actually was pretty solid despite the circumstances of their secondary being extremely banged up and not having Levante David either, not to mention Antoine Winfield Jr. being out of this game as well. So considering the circumstances, I thought the Buccaneers defense actually played pretty well. But that's nor here nor there. Buccaneers get the win, hang on in this ball game. 28-22, go to 5-1 on the season. Eagles drop to 2-4. And like I said, valiant effort by the Eagles. They hung tough when in the face of adversity. They looked like they were about to get blown out of the building, similar to the way they did on Monday night against the Cowboys 3 weeks ago. Instead, they rally back, make this thing a one-score ball game. And had they possessed the football, who knows, with a chance to win, who knows what the hell would have happened. I don't think they would have scored, but with the pass interferences that were being handed out, and with that secondary being suspect in Tampa Bay, who knows? Hurts throws one of those things up to Quez Watkins or to Rager again, and it could have been 1st and 10, at the 12-yard line with a chance. Who knows? But Brady and company never let that, come to fruition and never let it get to that point. And they hold on and now are 5-1. So let's get to the comment section. And if you're out there, please do me a huge favor. Hit the like button. There are only 25 likes, over 100 of you out there. Please hit the like button if you haven't already done so. Also, do me a huge solid and subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content. Turn on your notification bell if you haven't already done so. But more importantly, hit the like button. So, HTTR for life. Thank you for being the first in the comment section. Big ups to HTTR for life. Got a comment here from Juan Gotti, talking sports. If you're out there, you don't know how the rules of the game go, it's simple. Use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read on the air. If you want to jump straight to the front of the line, super chats are the way to make that happen. Juan Gotti, talking sports, says, a KC reporter asked Pat, is there any pressure to score every time since the defense is so bad? So they're similar to us right now, huh? Obviously, their D expectations weren't as high, but absolutely, they're in the same boat as us. Yeah, I talked about that on the show tonight. We took our first look at the Chiefs, and I said their defense is just as bad as ours. The only difference is I shouldn't even say that because they're giving up big plays too. But, their defense is just as bad as ours. I mean, it's two really bad defenses. The biggest difference is they got Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hill, and we don't. That's the biggest difference. Juan Gotti talking sports writes, even as a Washington fan, I got to be honest, Miles Sanders needs to get out of there because they don't use him. And when they do, it's a big run. I don't get what Nick Sirianni is doing, laughing my ass off. I mean, that's why Eagles fans are baffled. They truly can't understand why this guy can't see that Miles Sanders is a lightning rod. And anytime he touches the football, he's electric and can make something happen. And I mean, as a Washington fan, just similar to you, we've watched enough of the Eagles with Miles Sanders to know just how dangerous this guy is. And so the fact that he can't get more than, 7 or 8 carries and another 2 or 3 catches in a game is asinine. I mean, it's ridiculous. Miles Sanders literally is one of their best players, not just on the offensive side of the football. He's one of their best players, period, on their squad. And yet this man has to beg for touches. It's insane. It's absurd. And this is why you can't just let anybody be your head coach or play caller or play caller, But I talk about this all the time. When you get these guys that are offensive minded, they want to do the sexy thing. And the sexy thing is to throw the football. It's tough to remain balanced and understand that, the run game is important to success. A lot of these offensive-minded guys would much rather throw it than run it. And Sirianni seems to be in that category right now. He's got to wake the hell up and understand, especially with Jalen Hurts at quarterback. You got to know what your team is right now. Hurts is in no position right now to throw it 45 times and put a team on his back and carry them with his arm. He's got to understand that he needs that run game. He needs to be able to lean on Miles Sanders and get that production to be able to balance things out and not have so much pressure be on Jalen Hurts. But obviously, he doesn't seem to understand it, doesn't feel that way. Whatever the case may be, he's hurting his football team by not utilizing Miles Sanders and what he brings to the table. I just don't get that. Ree writes, Sirianni looks like the manager of a Taco Bell in the suburbs. Maybe that's where Philly found him, 5-1. You know what? I could see him being a manager of a fast food restaurant, specifically a Taco Bell. I haven't been to Taco Bell in ages. I stopped eating Taco Bell when I was like 12. So I can't tell you what a Taco Bell manager, but I've seen my fair share of fast food managers. And he definitely fits the description, You a damn fool, man. I swear. Reese says, a little shaky tonight. Got to get healthy over our mini bye. I agree, And, it wasn't really that you were shaky up until the mid portion of the third where I felt, and this could just be me, and I could have not been reading the room correctly, but I felt like you guys you were coasting. You kind of took your foot off the gas. Like, they're harmless. They don't even have 100 yards of total offense. If we don't commit pass interference, what are they really going to do to us? They can't really stop our offense. We're running the football at will. Brady's dissecting them. We're good. That's how it kind of felt. Now, I don't know if that's accurate or not, but that's what it felt like, watching this thing. Michael Butler, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, what up, my man? What up, Michael? We've got a huge game this week. Hope we can at least keep it close, but I doubt it. I'm not holding my breath. But again, as Juan Gotti brought up, and I talked about on Washington Football Nightly tonight, their defense stinks just like ours does. So this could turn into a shootout. If we get good Taylor Heineke this week, which we're due, because if we keep up with the same pattern that we've been going on, good Taylor, bad Taylor, good Taylor, bad Taylor. Well, we had bad last week. So if the trend continues, we should be getting good Taylor this week. And if we do, we'll have a shot because the Chiefs defensively stink. So we'll see. Derek B., thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, I'm scared of this Bucs offense against our D. You should be. Any team that has the capabilities of a Buccaneers offense that features Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, OJ Howard. Now he looked like he pulled up lame on that fourth down. Don't know the status of him moving forward. But Cameron Brate, Giovanni Bernard, and all of the weapons. Leonard Fournette is playing out of his gourd right now. Any team that features that many weapons, and oh, by the way, the guy under center is just the greatest quarterback of all times. Yeah, I think you should be fearful of that offense. Remember, when we actually thought we had a defense, they put up 500 yards of total offense on our skulls. What are they going to do now when we think we don't have any defense? So, yeah, you should be. But that's down the road. We got like 4 or 5 games before we get – we got 3 more games before we get to that point with the Buccaneers. So, yeah, not looking forward to it. I can say that right now. Reese says, we need to pay Godwin. Now, I'll have a panic attack if he hits free agency. Those Glazers have been known to be penny pinchers. So it'll be interesting to see if they'll pay up. They did a hell of a job, I thought, this offseason of keeping the nucleus of that football team, really keeping the whole band together and getting them back together and in pursuit of a second straight Lombardi. But can't pay everybody. We know the rules to the game in this thing. Can't pay everybody. But Brady's always been a guy that's been willing to take less because he was making tons of money, hand over, fist off the field. So Brady's always been one to take, pay cuts to help keep guys. I wouldn't be shocked if Brady did something because he did something this year so that you could fit some of these guys in. Wouldn't be shocked if Brady did something next year so you can do the same thing. So we'll see. Derek B writes, Godwin still seems inconsistent to me. I don't know why you feel that way. I mean, yeah, last year was rough. He had a lot of drops. He dealt with some injuries last year, especially down the stretch. Tons of drops for Godwin, but I don't recall him dropping anything tonight. Did he drop something? Did I miss it? He's fine. Chris Godwin is fine. Atlas writes, refs did what they could, but the Eagles just couldn't help themselves until it was too late. The taunting call was pure trash, though. I thought it was as well. Here's the thing. We don't know what was said. If he didn't say anything, if he just went, yeah, which it looked like he was doing because literally he still had his mouthpiece in his mouth and all you saw was teeth. So my assumption is that he got in his face, was like, yeah. If that's all he did, come on, man. What are we doing here? Seriously, what are we doing? But if he said something and it was derogatory and the official heard it, then that changes things. But if all he did was, and look, the rules. This is the thing. The Eagles are not a smart football team. And this is the stuff I can't get with. I can't deal with low IQ guys. Like Tavon Young of the Ravens on Monday Night Football against the Colts. Yes, we all saw what Jack Doyle did. It was low rent. It was a cheap shot. And I get the reaction, but you got to be smart enough to know what the situation in the game is at that moment. And you can't let your emotions get the best of you. I know there's a lot of adrenaline flowing. These are grown men in the heat of the battle. A lot of testosterone going on there. I get all of that. But you got to be smart enough to know I can't cost my team in this particular situation. And Tavon Young almost cost his team. And tonight, that Eagles defender, I can't remember his name right now, number 58, he really cost his team. That was a very hurtful penalty because the Buccaneers were reeling. They were on the ropes at that moment. It was going to be like 2nd and 7. And who knows what that drive was going to become of, because I thought the Eagles had all the momentum, and that literally took all the momentum out of their sails. It settled Brady and company down. And then, he hits AB for the gainer that gets the first down. And next thing you know, they're at midfield just like that. And at that point, I was like, all right, even if nothing comes of this drive in the way of points, what they've effectively done now is they've flipped field position. And if they punt this thing, the Eagles are going to have to go 90-plus yards to score a touchdown, which had that penalty not taken place and they go 3 and out, not only are you going to have tons of time so you don't have to rush, you're going to have all your timeouts, and you're going to have to go probably 70 yards maybe. Max 70 yards. instead of having to go 90 some odd yards for a touchdown. So it was a big penalty, and it really was the beginning of the end of the Eagles in this football game. So I agree with you, Atlas. Got a couple of super chats. This first one is from Dejan Bell. Thank you for the super chat, Dejan Bell. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, "What up, Lou? What up, Dejan? Haven't been here in a week because that Saints L was buns." Agreed. I just did a Saints hit earlier today, and I watched that game over again last night, and it just opened up the wound again. You know, I had healed up. I was feeling good, and then I went and I pulled the scab off, and it's fresh all over again. And I was even more frustrated after watching it a second time because the opportunities were endless in that football game to win it, and we just simply blew that football game. Taylor Heineke was awful. Anyway, he says, but Landon Collins better play his guts out since it's Sean Taylor Day. I'm not banking on it. Okay. And to think at one point, Daniel Snyder's dumbass was thinking about it. I don't know if it was really a deep thought there giving him 21 or if it was a fleeting thought, but there was definitely a conversation there about Landon Collins getting 21 for a second. And I was like, don't do this. So I'm glad he didn't do it because it could have been ugly had he gotten it. Adam _ thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Adam writes, stuff got hot when they sent feds to our spot. Think this or the Gruden drama will prove to be costly distractions this week or further into the season? I'll tell you right now, I will sacrifice the remaining 12 games on the schedule if you guarantee me that the rest, because I don't know, it's a pretty spicy New York Post article that was written, New York Times, article written about Bruce Allen's relationship with a powerful NFL attorney and how that really allowed Washington to get away with a lot of the nonsense that was going on within the building and organization. I'm like, look, can we get rid of Daniel Snyder? I'm like, the shit is coming back up. Like, I don't think it's going to be anything here, but you know, the NFL was trying to bury all of this stuff. Somehow it's starting to get out piece by piece, starting to get out, and more stuff starting to come to the light. And eventually this shit has to fall back on Dan. You hired Bruce Allen. You had to have known what the hell was going on under your nose. He's probably going to play, boo-boo the fool. I didn't know. He's always done that really well. Like, I did not know how toxic of an environment and culture this organization really had. I was too hands off. Really? Bullshit. So he's probably just going to play, boo-boo the fool on this. Like, I had no idea what Bruce Allen was doing. How could I have known? How could I have ever known? Bruce Allen was handling all of the affairs, and I was taking a hands-off approach. And if you can guarantee me that his ass is out of there, sign me up for 2-15 right now. Otherwise, I'm trying to win as many games as possible. So could this prove to be a distraction? Sure, you're damn right it could. Could it also prove to be a galvanizing force? Absolutely. It could go one of two ways. We'll see how they handle it. Honestly, we'll see. I really don't know what direction it's going to go in because this is a very young team. So hard to really say what direction they're going to go in. Let's get back up here. Here we go. Writes, he was Antonio Brown last year. He's AB again. Float like a butterfly, sting like AB. Yeah, I like he was Antonio Brown last year, but you could tell he was just getting back into the swing of things. He dealt with some injuries and he got on the scene late, and so it took him a little while to get back in the swing of things. He's AB definitely again. Like, he's that dude, the guy that was one of the best receivers in Pittsburgh for many years. He's that guy again. So I'm going to be honest with you. I think he's your best receiver on your team, to be honest with you. I I can definitely tell that Brady thinks so, because Brady's going to him more so than anybody else on the squad. I mean, Mike Evans has been noticeably absent the last few weeks. You know, he's had his fair share of catches, had a touchdown grab against Miami. Who didn't have a touchdown grab against Miami last week? But, you know, this isn't 8 catches for 154 yards, Mike Evans. This is like, you know, 5 catches for 47 yards, Mike Evans. But AB's the guy that's putting up, you know, 9 for $116 or 9 for, you know, $182 and 2 touchdowns. Like, AB's the one putting up those types of numbers. So he looks like the number 1 guy right now. Emperor Meech writes, Sirianni is a shit offensive play caller. A friend of mine who is an Eagles fan said he's trash as well and moved on to his Lakers team due to the offense. Don't you just love when guys quit a sport and just move on to the next one? This early in the season especially. That's always fun. That's rich. I got a buddy of mine that does the same thing. You know, he's a Raiders fan. He's quick to bail on the Raiders every year and go straight to the Suns. You know, he ain't shit for that. And neither is your friend. But at the end of the day, I get it. Sirianni is a joke as a play caller right now. And he needs to wake up and understand what this team needs from him and what they actually have. They got some stuff. You know, it's not top-notch stuff, but they got some stuff on offense, but it's not being utilized correctly. So that's a shame. I'll say that. That's a shame. Reed says, we were up 28-7 and the Eagles made it close. They wouldn't stop until they pissed me off at least once. LOL. I thought, look, I started texting Lloyd Brunson at 28-7. You know, I was all in his mix at 28-7. You know, talking shit on socials, and shit got a lot closer than I thought it was going to. At 28-7, I thought this was, you know, on a crash course for 42-17, you know, 42-21, you know, something along those lines. I had no clue that you were done scoring for the night at 28-7. Never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that was it. You were done scoring for the night. So, I didn't feel bad for what I said because I was less about what the Eagles themselves were doing, more about Jalen Hurts stinking it up. And I mean, anybody that watched the game, you know, knows that, you know, his legs are lethal. His arm, not so much. So, yeah, that didn't change. Whether they had won the game or not, that wouldn't have changed. But of course, you would have heard his mouth had they won that game. And then he had the audacity, LB did, to ask me, are y'all winning this weekend? I'm like, no, but this is the difference between you and me. And I didn't say this to him, but had he come back and said something else, I would have said it. The difference between you and me is I'm not out here lying to people telling them that we're going to win this weekend. You were out here lying to the congregation, telling them y'all were about to beat Tampa Bay and that y'all going to beat the Chargers and all of this, you know, good, you know, this, that, and the third. And I'm not doing that. I'm not lying to anybody. I'm not going to tell them, yeah, we're going to win this week, knowing damn well we about to run into a buzzsaw. You ain't going to get me to do that. But that's the difference between me, because he is a homer. And he's like the guys that call the games, the preseason games, that you like, oh, my God, I cannot stand this coverage. I mean, these guys are the worst. They're so biased. And they're supposed to be. They're preseason guys. You know, they love the team. They're always around the team. They want the team to do well, but you're like, I can't take this shit. You know, that's Lord Brunson. He's one of those guys, you know, not ever willing to tell the truth when it comes to his team. He'll criticize certain aspects. Like he'll probably criticize Nick Sirianni again tonight for not running it enough. And that'll be his go-to excuse. But at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts stinks. Let's focus on that for a second. Yeah, Sirianni's play calling is absolutely hot ass garbage. It's cheeks. I agree. But Jalen Hurts has open receivers. And every week he's either overthrowing them, underthrowing them, or both. And this week he underthrew it, and it benefited him twice because he got 2 pass interference penalties. Let's see. got a super chat here from Dejan Bell. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Greatly appreciate you, Dejan Bell, who writes, quickly, can you share your favorite Sean Taylor moment? Oh, there are so many of them. Where do I begin? My favorite Sean Taylor moment, without a doubt, was the scoop and score versus Philadelphia to clinch the playoff berth in 2005. That's always my iconic shot. At one point, a lot of people don't know this, but that was my logo because I had an in the lab room logo, and it was a guy diving, and it was Sean Taylor diving into the end zone with that football at the end of that Eagles game on the scoop and score to put that one away. That's always been my favorite Sean Taylor moment. There are so many, though. I mean, the scoop and score against Tampa Bay, that was the only touchdown, if you recall, in that game, was him scooping up that fumble after Marcus Washington had recovered the fumble. And then Sean comes out of nowhere like a vulture, scoops it, and takes off, ended up getting ejected in that game for spitting in the face of Michael Pittman, which was disgusting. But there's the moment at the end of the Monday Night Miracle against Dallas where he hits Patrick Creighton on a third down that helped us seal that game at the end. I mean, I could go on and on and on. There's so many moments, that he made that were huge. I remember him hitting T.O. over the middle of the football field on a Monday night. I remember him forcing Todd Pinkston to go alligator arms over the middle of the football field. I remember him going up and climbing the ladder and taking the ball from Randy Moss in a game in maybe 6 when I think it was 04 actually, when the Vikings needed to win in week 17 to make it to the playoffs. They came to FedEx and they lost, and Sean Taylor picked it up, and Randy Moss left the field early. If you recall in that game, so many. I could be here all day. Anyway, I digress. Jeremiah Stafford, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Jeremiah writes, "What's up, Louie? I'm only 18, so I have faint memories of actually watching 21, but here's the reason I love football. It's beyond me how they rushed this." Jeremiah, you are not alone. You are not alone. I am here with you. All of us as Washington fans are incredulous at the fact that they sprung this on us 3 days prior to. And then Jason Wright tries to send out this media, statement to make it seem as if he was doing us a favor. And, oh my God, how could we have ever been so insensitive to the fans out there that wanted to see this happen? We were so excited, and we thought that the best way to do this was to unveil it the week of the game. What? It just coming out of his mouth or onto print, reading it, sounds like a lie. I mean, I really like Jason Wright. I really do. But you can easily get on the shit list by doing Dan Snyder's dirty work. Don't allow yourself to be immersed in the shit show that is the Washington football team. I know you work for the man and you want to do everything you can to try to build this organization up, and you want to protect Daniel Snyder, but do not become one of them. This is his first blemish right here, where I'm looking at him with the side eye like, you starting to get the stink of Washington football team on you. You were shiny and you were bright and you were illuminating, and we were looking at you like some kind of savior on the business side, a breath of fresh air. This is your first strike right here. This is unforgivable. Even if you do a lot of good things moving forward, you will never get past this. We'll never, ever forgive you for this. We'll be able to move on, but we'll never forget this. This will always be a strike. R. Smith, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, but Jalen is so good for fantasy, LOL. I bet he is, because he's scoring all these rushing touchdowns. I bet he's awesome. He's terrible for your PPR league, and he's terrible as a passer. But my God, nobody cares. Fantasy doesn't care. Ron Rivera likes to say, the play doesn't care who makes it. Fantasy stats don't care how you accumulate them. Fantasy points don't care how you accumulate them. And fantasy owners don't care how you accumulate. Jalen Hurts could go 12 of 28 for 112 yards and no touchdowns, but he's got, 7 rushes for 82 yards and 2 touchdowns. They're like, my guy. Because, again, fantasy stats, they don't care. Fantasy owners don't care how you get them the points. They just want them. And that's what he does. So you're absolutely right about that. Aaron DeAndre. Stand up, Aaron. You are officially in the building as a brand new member of the MOBB. Glad to have you, Aaron DeAndre. Never, ever trust a man with 2 first names. I might learn to trust you now that you're a member. We'll see. You're going to have to earn my trust. You got 2 first names, but I'd love to have you anyway. MOBB members out there, you know what to do. Welcome, Aaron, to the squad. Welcome, Aaron, and thank you for your membership. Donnell Shipley, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Donnell writes, Louie, I'm not mad. We just lost. Can't wait until my Eagles really gel. Still think we're the second best team in the division, and that may ultimately prove to be true. But I'm not conceding anything to your Eagles. Your head coach is clueless. Your quarterback stinks. And I was disappointed in your defense tonight. I really was. Your defense had been coming on like game busters of late. Even in losses, I thought that the defensive line was getting pressure. They were stonewalled tonight. Didn't hear anything out of Josh Sweat, who had been coming on. Javon Hargrave had been wreaking havoc, destroyed the Panthers single-handedly last week. Nothing. Fletcher Cox, crickets. Barnett was the only one that I think actually even laid a finger on Brady tonight. So was disappointed with your front 4. And the secondary, I thought was just way too oft and soft tonight. But again, I get it. The respect for the Buccaneers offense is real. And they didn't want to give up anything cheap or deep. So I understand the apprehension of that secondary to come up and challenge those receivers. That said, this could have gotten ugly, and it didn't. This felt like a Washington loss from last year where, we would fall down big early, rally back, make it a ball game, but just fall short. We did that so many times last year. And believe it or not, there are no moral victories, but there's a respect that is associated with losses like this. Because this could have been 42-20. This easily could have turned into an ass whooping and another embarrassment on primetime television. Because you already got a mud hole stomped in you in week 3 versus Dallas. This could have easily turned into another one of those types of affairs. But you guys pulled your bootstraps up, made this thing interesting. And, there are some respect points that go with that. There are respect points. And you can build a level of confidence off of losses like this. Again, no one ever wants to lose, and no one wants to talk about moral victories. But I remember as a fan of Washington last year, hanging around in ball games that we were getting our doors blown off in and saying, this team won't quit. And that's a really good redeeming quality to have as a football team, to know, hey, it don't matter how much we down by. Just like last week. I mean, that's why I say I can respect what the Eagles did tonight. Last week, you easily could have gotten run out of Bank of America Stadium. I mean, literally, if they recover that bad snap for a touchdown and it's 20-3, that game's over. But it's a safety. It's 15-3 instead, and you just hang tough. You're hanging there. Next thing you know, you end up stealing that game. So these kinds of losses, they build confidence, even though you don't win. That y'all hung in tough, and I got to give y'all credit for that, because it was ugly. I mean, the fact that you didn't get to 100 yards of total offense till the 4th quarter, and you still found a way to make this a 6-point game. Tip of the cap. Tip of the cap to you. So, thank you for the super chat, Donnell Shipley. Let's see where we are, where we left off. Niners fan writes, I like Jalen Hurts and want to root for him, but there are times when I can't shake the feeling that he just stinks in general. I mean, if you've watched enough of Jalen Hurts, then you already know what it is. Like, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like the guy doesn't have talent. That's why he ended up at Alabama. They don't just draft stiffs or draft. They don't just recruit stiffs at Alabama. And he looked good at times at Oklahoma when he transferred. Like, and he's a stand-up guy. The proof of him sticking around in Alabama, knowing he wasn't going to be the guy that he got beaten out by Tua and stuck around and helped them win. If you recall that SEC championship, he came in and saved the day. Like, he's a stand-up dude. He works hard. He cares. Like, there's a lot of redeeming qualities to Jalen Hurts. That said, he's not great throwing the football. That's always been one of his problems. He's not great as a passer. He's a great athlete, and he can make things happen when the play breaks down, but just standing there and making throws consistently over and over and over again, that's not his thing. And maybe he'll grow into that and get better at it. It is his first year as a true starter. So, again, I would be rooting like hell for him if he played for any other team named Dallas, Philadelphia, or the Giants. I'd be, and specifically if he wasn't on the Eagles roster because of Lloyd Brunson and the way that, he, props him up and continues to champion him. It makes it so easy to root against him. But honestly, if he were on the Chicago Bears right now, I'd be rooting like hell for Jalen Hurts. He's a good dude, but good dude, wrong city. Sorry, not sorry. Emperor Meach writes, say what you will about Doug, but Ho's offenses were better than this Knicks shit. Tampa Bay, on the other hand, reminds me of the Eagles the past few years. Great up front, but the secondary is ass. Well, it's really banged up too. Don't forget that was a really good young core coming into the season with Sean Murphy Bunting and Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean and Antoine Winfield Jr. and Mike Edwards and what's my man from Pitt, the safety from Pitt. It was a hell of a group, and it's been decimated by injuries. Sean Murphy Bunting goes down in week 1. Carlton Davis went down not too long thereafter. At one point, Jamel Dean was out. Antoine Winfield Jr. still out right now. I think he'll be back next week, though, against the Bears. So they're struggling right now, man, with injuries. So, yeah, the front is good. The back end was good. Now they're struggling with injuries. We'll see what they're able to do. And I agree with the offense of Philadelphia. And people used to complain about, Doug Peterson's offense. But I bet you they traded for in a heartbeat for what the shit that they're doing now with Nick Sirianni. That's for sure. Let's see. Got a super chat here from Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat, Metaphor. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, okay, Lou, ATL Braves, would you trust Hank Aaron? Never. He got 2 first names. It's still my guy, though. All right, still my guy, Hank. Hammering Hank Aaron. But got 2 first names, man. Got 2 first names. You know what it is. Aaron DeAndre, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for becoming the newest member of the MOBB, who writes, LOL, knew you would say that about my name. Glad to be here, though. Keep up the great work, Lou. Won't lie. Been hard to root for Washington football team lately, but I'm here. It is. And I'm pretty sure you watched the show tonight already, but if you haven't, I said the same thing, man. It truly, days like today or yesterday, truly make it hard to root for the organization. If I wasn't so emotionally attached to this team, and what I didn't, also make me financially attached to the team, but really to forget about the financial aspect of it. If I wasn't emotionally attached, I would disassociate myself from the Washington football team. If I could just do that, if I were one of those people that lived in San Diego, grew up in the DC area, moved to San Diego, have been following the team from afar, but I got a life outside of, watching football and the weather's beautiful all year round. It's 75 every day, and I got a million things I could be doing other than, supporting this sad sack of a franchise. I just say, you know what? To hell with that. I'm done. And I'd be done, but I can't. But man, they make it hard. Man, they make it hard for us as fans. They truly, truly do. It is just mind-bending how much we go through as fans. At times, I want to win a Super Bowl, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't want Daniel Snyder to be able to touch a Lombardi trophy. I don't want him to be able to touch a Lombardi other than the 3 that he had nothing to do with. I don't want him to feel like he was a good enough owner to help us win a damn thing. He's a pariah. He sucked the life out of this fan base. It's part of the reason we have the lowest attendance by miles in the league. He did that. He took what was one of the most rabid fan bases, one of the most loyal fan bases, and turned it into a wasteland. So, yeah, I get it. But just like you, I'm still here. Let's get back to the comment section. And I got Months1 writes, really impressive how much Fournette has worked on his game the last few years and now can be a dependable pass catcher. You know what? That was a misnomer about Leonard Fournette, that he couldn't catch. They just didn't throw it to him a ton at LSU. But go back and look at that 2018 season or 2019 season, whatever his last year in Jacksonville was. I think it was 2019. Go look at Leonard Fournette's numbers. Leonard Fournette had like 1,400 all-purpose yards or 1,600 all-purpose yards, and he had like 62 catches for like 600 yards. Like, Leonard Fournette can catch, but he was in Jacksonville, so nobody really knew he could catch. Go look at his numbers from that last year in Jacksonville. You'd be like, oh, shit, I didn't know Leonard Fournette could catch. Yeah, he can. So this is not a revelation. He didn't just all of a sudden work on his game and got to this point. He could catch. But I give him credit for reinventing himself. When he got to Tampa Bay, he looked spent. Like, he looked like the oldest 6-year-old running back, 25-year-old running back I'd ever seen. Like, he didn't look like a guy that was going to be able to carry the load in Tampa. But he's got the physicality back. He's got some moves back. Like, he didn't even have any wiggle when he first got to Tampa. Like, he's making guys miss again. He looks good, man. He looks good. He looks really good. And I've talked about that this season, how well he's played. Derek B. Thank you for the super chat. Or Derek B writes, the Eagles had more yards from pass interference than passing yards. They should have just kept throwing deep on the Bucs cornerbacks. That's what I would have done. I would have just said, hey, Devontae, run a double move, and I'm going to chuck it deep. Run a stop and go, run a sluggo, and I'm going to just chuck that bitch 40, 50 yards down the field. Maybe underthrow it like I normally do. You try to come back to the ball. 9 times out of 10, Jamel Dean isn't going to look. He's not going to look. And you should get a PI, and we'll be in business. That was working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I was thinking the same thing. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, right? Sometimes you just got to look to Sundays and blinders. You're right. That's how we've done it for too long, though. That's the part that's frustrating. You get tired of trying to ignore all of the noise and just say, you know what? I'm just going to focus on football. And that's what I try to do that. And I tend to do that with you guys. Like, I don't want to talk about the off the fields because shit's not going to change, right? It's not still going to be here. So what's the difference? Why are we crying over spilt milk? Oh, yeah. Sell the team, Dan. He's not selling shit. The NFL just gave him a bunch of money, a humongous loan that exceeded how much they were really supposed to be able to give him so that he could buy out the rest of the minority owners and get 100% of the stake in ownership. So he's not going anywhere. So, like, what are you really crying about? That's what I tell myself. Like, nobody wants to talk about that shit because it doesn't have anything to do with the play on the field. But after a while, you get tired of doing that. You get tired of doing that, especially when you stink, which we do. So oftentimes, not all the time. Johnny68740. Stand up, Johnny. You are officially in the building as a brand new member of the MOBB. Glad to have you, Johnny. Welcome aboard. Mob, you know what to do. Show Johnny 68740 some love. Thank you for your membership. I look forward to chopping it up with you, Johnny 68740. Yes, sir. All right. Let's see. Where did we leave off? Right here. Fournette is playing so hard, Lou. Playing with heart. Last year, he was shaky and seemed to take plays and sometimes hold games off. He has an edge this year, and I love it. Yeah, I told you when he first got to Tampa last year, it wasn't until he got to the playoffs and everybody called him Playoff Lenny because of what he did back in 2017 with Jacksonville and then what he did with you guys last year. It's like when he got to the playoffs, the sense of urgency kicked in, and he continued that this offseason, almost like a new lease on life, so to speak. Because last year, nobody was impressed with him when he got to Tampa Bay. It was same old Leonard Fournette that Jacksonville decided to move on from. But this year, it's like he's back to the Leonard Fournette that helped the Jaguars get all the way to the AFC Championship. He's got a chip on his shoulder, and he's playing really well. I agree with you. Reese says, if it's third and more than 10, it's a throw behind the line of scrimmage every time. Damn Leftwich. Man, there was a lot of wide receiver screens by both teams. I was like, God damn, I didn't realize you guys were similar like that. But you know what? Leftwich is not alone in that. Like a lot of these young play callers do that. Like if you watch a Rams game, Sean McVay is going to throw at least 5 wide receiver screens in the course of the game. More like 7 to 10 of them if you incorporate running back screens and tight end screens and things of that nature. I was shocked at how many tight end screens we got tonight from Tampa Bay. But yeah, the wide receiver screen is a big thing in this league. You want to catch a team blitzing, and if you catch them in the right look, that thing can go a long way. But I was shocked at how many screens both teams threw, especially the Buccaneers. I didn't realize you guys threw as many screens as you did. So I learned something tonight from that aspect. Rashid Fry, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, the Eagles are going to be a tough game with the way we are playing. Yep. And again, I don't want to talk about any divisional opponents because we don't see one of them until December. So, or late November. So it's really insignificant to have a conversation about the Eagles, Giants, or Cowboys and what we're going to do when we play against them. Because anything could happen. Hurts could be injured. We could get Joe Flacco. Dak Prescott could be injured. We could be getting, Cooper Rush or whoever the hell is their backup quarterback. It's the same thing. We just saw Daniel Jones go down. He may play this week, but you don't know what the situation is going to be with their quarterbacks and what their team will be playing like then, what we'll be playing like then. You don't know. We could all of a sudden turn the switch on. I told you the defensive performance we just had against New Orleans, albeit it was still a 33-point performance. It still was our best defensive performance. And going back and watching, I was even more encouraged by the performance, even though they didn't get it done in some crucial situations. You don't know what any of these teams are going to be come, December. So Emperor Meach writes, Tampa can only get away with this secondary for so long. Due to the offenses they've played recently, they barely managed to survive. Tom has to be perfect every game or it'll be bad. And we saw that against the Rams. If they can't get healthier in the secondary and they run into an offense that's fully capable, it could be trouble for them. And we saw that against the Rams. Tom wasn't his sharpest. That secondary was exploited. And your end result was a, victory for the Rams. And really, the score doesn't really indicate how big the Rams, were up in that game late. So, yeah, but I mean, how many of those teams exist in the NFC, to be honest? I forget. There's one more big game on the schedule with Tampa Bay, and I think it's an AFC team, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, let's keep it a buck. I mean, there aren't many NFC teams that can do what the Rams did to Tampa Bay. So they'll be fine. You saw their schedule. They should steamroll the next 4 opponents. Chicago and, some insignificant team, Washington and another insignificant team. 4 teams that they should be able to stomp a mud hole in. So they're going to be just fine. They'll be just fine. And again, they may get healthy. And this could be a moot point that you just made, and this conversation that we had could be null and void by the time we get there. But we'll see. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Metaphor, writes, they said in game tonight, BA told Lenny, shape up and play. Buy in or you getting cut. Fear equals motivation equals success. Became playoff Lenny, now regular season Lenny. Look, BA is that dude. All right, he's an OG. And I love the quote. And remember, I've been calling Bruce Uncle Bruce, the cool cat with the Kango to match. Well, now he's not rocking the Kango. Is BA the cool cat? Uncle Bruce, the cool cat with the cap to match. I mean, who doesn't love Uncle Bruce? He's like, look, I'm not looking to be a father figure. I want to be the cool uncle that you go out and have a drink with. Who doesn't feel that way about BA, man? I love Bruce Arians. He's one of my favorites, if not my favorite head coach in the league. I'm just happy he's here. I remember when he first took the top job in Tampa, I told my guy, Ree, I said, Ree, enjoy him while you got him. He's going to change the game for you. And Ree was skeptical. And I said, he's going to change the game for you, but he's only going to do it on a limited time basis because his health is not great. Well, you know what he did this time around? He said, I'm delegating, man. I'm not going to get riled up about the offense and the defense and all that. I'm going to get Todd Bowles to handle my defense. Know I can trust him. I'm going to get Byron Leftwich to handle the offense. And I'm going to just manage everything. And that's what a coach should be doing. But, there's a lot of coaches that, BA's an OG. So he's done the whole play calling thing. Like, I don't have to do that anymore. My ego's not in the way unless somebody else get the shine for calling plays. I don't need to do that no more. A lot of these coaches, they want that shine. Like, I'm calling the plays. I'm in control. Nah, I'm good. I'm going to let my D coordinator call the defense, my offensive coordinator call the offense, and I'm going to just manage the team. And when you're doing that and you're not as focused on what my offense is doing because you calling plays, you can get on somebody's ass and tell them, hey, shape up or you ship out, essentially. So love me some BA. Got another one here from Captain Spartan 04. Thank you for the super chat, Captain Spartan. Greatly appreciate you who writes. We're getting the Dodgers. It was 1-1 when I got on here live. Did they win? I wanted them. I hope they won. I'm excited if they won because I wanted the Dodgers in the worst way. It's time to bully the bullies. Every year we get eliminated from the postseason, it seems like the Dodgers are the ones doing it. I remember when we were the baby Braves and we showed up to the party a year or two too early. No one was expecting us. We showed up with a keg and everybody's like, oh, it was the Braves. Oh, you got a keg. They took the keg from us, did the Dodgers, slammed the door in our face, and we didn't come into the party. They swept us. Before we knew what the hell happened, we were back in our car and going home and like, didn't we have a keg when we showed up? Yeah, they took the keg from us, slammed the door in our face, and we had to go home. I'm sick of the damn Dodgers. We were up 3-1 last year. Revenge is a dish best served ice cold, and these Braves are cold-blooded. I can't wait. Bart Scott can't wait. I'm ready to head to Chavez Ravine and get it on. Ready for these boys. I just want to split. I just want to go there and get one. I love it. See where we left off. DJ Walker. Oh, no. Right. So we are tired. We were tired and it showed. Guys were lethargic. Only guys playing with spirit the whole game were A.B. Fournette, Shaq Barrett, Shaq Diesel. Love Shaq Barrett, man. He was playing with some juice off the edge all night long. All night long. All night. Oh, all night long. All night. All night. He was chasing Hurts around. It was a shame he didn't get a sack for that one time where he chased him down from behind. Ended up getting a gain of 1. Poor Shatberry. He just couldn't catch him on that one time where he tried to break down and then Hurts took off on the outside and turned the corner on him. But yeah, he played. And then he had another time where he had him in the pocket and Hurts spun out of it. And he wasn't able to get him. So, Shaq was definitely bringing the heat on that D line for sure. Rashid Fry says, we got problems. This is what I'm concerned with. Yeah. We always have problems. When are we ever, problemless? I mean, we always got something going on. Whether it's on the field or off of it. We're never clean, man. We always dirty. Always riding dirty. Derek B writes, Sirianni equals Zorn 2.0. Don't do that, man, like that. Derek B, that's blasphemy. Don't utter those words, man. He can't be that clueless. I don't know him. I haven't heard that from Eagles fans, but that's rough. But you know what? I think Zorn hadn't called any plays when he got to Washington. He went from, we were going to make him an offensive coordinator. I think he was the quarterbacks coach in Seattle. We were going to make him the OC. And when we got wind of them trying to hire Jim Fossil, we essentially started a mutiny, and Daniel Snyder panicked, reneged on the Fossil hire, and then it couldn't find anybody else that wanted to coach this pathetic excuse for a team, and ended up promoting Jim Zorn from offensive coordinator to head coach. We all know how that went. So maybe there is a similarity there from the fact that Sirianni had never called a play before becoming head coach, and Zorn had never called a play. But I think that's where the similarities end. Zorn. Anyway, Captain Spartan 04 writes, I agree. I have no idea what the deal is with the Eagles' refusal to run the ball. It makes no sense. I hope Miles Sanders leaves them. But we'll see. I mean, what is he? He's got to be in year 3, right? So next year would technically be his last year in Philadelphia if it were to come to that. But we'll see what happens. Reese says, Cam Brate made some plays. Make America Brate again. I run the campaign. He's oozing with Brateness. I love it, Ree. I love it. Dejon Bell. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Dejon Bell writes, does it kill you that we let McVay and LaFleur leave? And once we find our QB, do you believe Scott making our offense prolific? Here's the problem. If our offense ever becomes prolific, Scott's gone. He's gone. And you're going to have to start all over from scratch. Unless there's a quarterbacks coach, which, I mean, our quarterbacks coach has been in this league forever in Ken Zampese. So I don't know if you make him the offensive coordinator or not. I mean, he was the offensive coordinator in Cincinnati, I believe, at one point. But anyway, I digress. The bottom line is, I don't have any remorse for letting those guys walk, because when they were here at the time, it was either Jay Gruden or Sean McVay, and Gruden was just coming off of a playoff year with the You Like That Kirk season. Like, we weren't going to turn our backs on Jay at that time. And I know there were a lot of people that couldn't stand Jay already, but keep in mind that 2015 season, that was Jay's second year. When he first got here, he had to prove to Snyder, along with Scott McCloughan, he and Scott McCloughan essentially had to march into Snyder's office and tell them, Robert Griffin III can't play. Like, Kirk Cousins gives us the best chance to win. So that whole first year that Gruden was here, it was him pretty much having to put up with Robert Griffin III and his nonsense. And then you remember Jay drugged, Robert Griffin III under the bus, ran him over a couple of times, and I was all for it, even though professionally you shouldn't do that. I was all for it because Griffin was an egomaniac and he needed to be checked. And so remember, at the start of the 2015 season, Jay and Scott McCloughan marched into, I mean, he didn't march into his office. They literally had to convince Daniel Snyder that his best friend couldn't play quarterback anymore, that Kirk gave us the best chance. So that year in 2015, he convinced the owner, and Kirk had that magical season. And, you know, I just wasn't willing to bail on Jay after that, you know? So the next year after that, we went 8-7-1, and we should have been 9-6, and we easily could have been 10, 9. We should have been 9-7 instead of 9-6-1 or 8-7-1. We should have won that game over in London. That would have made us 9-7, right? We should have won the game in London. That was the tie. So yeah, that would have made us 9-7. So I didn't want to let go of Jay at that time. And LaFleur pretty much left when Sean left. So I didn't have a problem with it, but we'll see. Where did we leave off at? I'll take a couple more. We already passed our hour limit, so we'll get out of here shortly. Right here is where we stopped. Captain Spartan writes, we agree that Urban is going to be one and done. What do you think about Byron Leftwich becoming the Jags head coach? Could be the perfect story. Obviously, that's where he was drafted and played some of his best ball. Is he innovative enough to take advantage of what Trevor Lawrence does? I'm not sure of that. You know, Trevor Lawrence would be better off with a guy like Cliff Kingsbury, you know, one of these innovative, young, you know, college football background type of coaches where, you know, you're going to spread teams out and put a guy like Trevor Lawrence in positions where he's comfortable and can make some plays. Not sure if Byron Leftwich is going to do that. But then again, I don't know. I don't know what Byron Leftwich's background is because he's had a couple of pocket passers in Winston and Brady. Maybe if you give him an athletic guy, he'll call some of that stuff. But I think he's more of a traditional because that's what he was. And so a lot of times when you're an offensive play caller and you were a quarterback, you see the game the way that you saw it when you were a player, you know, and he was a drop back guy. He wasn't an athlete. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to say the least. Let me see. Derek B writes, TB12, one of the best QB sneaks of all time, and the Eagles don't put anyone over the center on 3rd and 1. Brady said, thank you, game over. Anytime I'm playing against a Brady team on 3rd and 1, it could be even 3rd and 2. If you don't put anybody over the center, Brady will just tuck it and go. I mean, how many times have we seen Brady get, 5 on 3rd and 2? You spread it out over the middle and there's nobody over the center and Brady just takes off. We've seen that so many times. He's the best at the quarterback sneak. Period. End of discussion. I don't think anybody will argue that. I can't remember the last time the man got stuffed on a quarterback sneak. It's ridiculous. Captain Spartan 04 writes, where do you think all these tight ends go to? O.J. Howard, Zach Ertz, and Dallas Goedert. I think Zach goes to Indy. Dallas goes to the Jets. O.J. pairs up with Irv Smith in Minnesota. Well, Dallas Goedert isn't going anywhere. The Eagles aren't going to let him walk. He'll be in Philadelphia. Ertz, on the other hand, I think Indy is his destination. I thought that's where he was going to go. Him and Carson Wentz are best friends, and Indy could use an alpha. They got some tight ends. I like Mo Alley Cox. What's the other cat? The dude that had the cheap shot on Monday night. I forgot his damn name already that quick. I was about to call his ass Jacob Tammy. I'm showing my age. But yeah, I think he could end up in Indy. I don't think O.J. Howard ends up in Minnesota, though. I could see O.J. Howard ending up in Tennessee, somewhere like that. That's where I see O.J. Howard, somewhere like Tennessee. I'll be honest with you, I would love to have him in Washington, even though I know we got Logan Thomas. I would love to have O.J. Howard, but yeah, I think he'll end up in Tennessee. That's where I would put him. Reese says, see that Ross Cockrell dropped that pick? Dude has hands like a snake. That was a pick. That was pick six city. I don't think he was going to score on that, even if he would have picked it off, because he was already falling down. So he would have picked that thing off. He would have stumbled and fell, and then he would have got touched down. But how did you drop that, dude? Like, seriously. It was a great play by him. He was supposed to be blitzing on the play. He sees the running back peel out, and so or flare out. So he peels off of the blitz. Hurts never saw him. It's a great play by Ross Cockrell because, and again, this is what I talk about when I talk about football IQ. He sees the running back coming out of the backfield. Instead of him continuing to run to Hurts, knowing he's not going to get there, he peels off and takes the running back. It takes IQ. A lot of, players that aren't smart continue to go after the quarterback, jump in the air, knowing they can't get to it. And then Miles Sanders catches that thing, and next thing you know, 57 yards later, he's in the end zone. Instead, Ross Cockrell puts himself in a position to pick that thing off, and I don't know how he dropped it. I really don't. Did you see Ryan Kerrigan almost fall underneath that first touchdown to O.J. Howard to get the scoring kicked off? I was like, oh, shit. Ryan Kerrigan's about to pick it up. Oh, okay. Never mind. It's Ryan Kerrigan. What am I saying right now? He's got the vertical leap of a snail. Like, what am I talking about here? He wasn't even close to that thing. But, if he was an athlete, Brady could have been in trouble on that thing because he never saw Kerrigan dropping underneath that throw across his body. But I digress. Captain Spartan writes, when are we going to admit that AB is a wide receiver 1 in this offense, not the wide receiver 3? I love Mike Evans and Godwin will leave in free agency, but he's the primary focus of the offense. Pick 199 to 198. I said it earlier tonight, that AB is the number one option in that offense. Love Mike Evans to death, but AB is the number one guy, and Brady's treating him as such. And I've already said that we've seen Mike Evans' targets go down and his influence on the offense be reduced. Now, that said, when you fall asleep on him, he can still hurt you, and he's still getting his fair share of targets, but it pales in comparison to how many targets AB is getting on the in these games. So I think it's starting to switch to AB being that number one guy. But it's always good to know if AB goes down or if he's not having the best of games, you can always turn to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. That's a luxury that the Buccaneers have right now. So take a couple more and then we'll get out of here. Marie says, Devin White, the White Knight, the Great White. Dude was out there flying. When he sticks to the script and doesn't freelance, he's freakish. He was a blur tonight. I was just smiling watching him shoot the gap and chase Jalen Hurts. I was like, golly, what I wouldn't give to have one of those types of dudes. They don't grow on trees, though. He's a rare breed. And I remember when he came out, I wasn't the biggest fan. I was like, I don't see it. Everybody else, I wanted the other Devin, Devin Bush, and he's not bad, but he's not Devin White. That's for damn sure. I was definitely wrong on that one. And he's proven to be everything the Bucs thought and then some, for sure. And I think this will take us out. Writes, Chicago, Saints, Washington, Giants. We could be 9-1 at the end of next month. You should be 9-1 by the end of next month. And I said that schedule was soft. There it is. Chicago, Saints, Washington, Giants. The only team I think you could be in danger of potentially losing to is the Saints. They'll get all of their pieces back after this bye week that they're on. They'll get Michael Thomas back. They'll get their left tackle back. They'll get Davenport back. By the time you see them, they should be at damn near full strength. That said, they're still the Saints, and it's still Jameis Winston. And so this will be the first time you've seen your old buddy, as a starter. That should be pretty intriguing. But you should win every one of those games. I agree. You should be 9-1. I don't see how you lose any of those games. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Thursday Night Football overtime. Bucks jump out to a 28-7 lead midway through the third quarter before, I thought, taking their foot off the gas pedal and allowing the Philadelphia Eagles to scratch and claw their way back into this ball game. Give that Eagles football team credit. They fought their asses off to make this a one-score game and really put some game pressure for the first time on the Buccaneers on that final possession of the game. The Buccaneers, in true championship form, pick up the first downs necessary to force the Eagles to call all of their timeouts and ultimately are able to take knees with possession of the football in victory formation. Huge taunting penalty on that final drive by the Eagles helped to really kickstart that final drive for the Buccaneers. But Brady made it happen on third down. Brady made it happen on several different throws, one to Brady, one to AB, to really put this thing out of danger. And so the Buccaneers hold on 28-22, run their record to 5-1. They now have 10 days off to recharge the battery, and then they'll take on Chicago. Meanwhile, the Eagles fall to 2-4. They will recharge the battery and then take on the Vegas Raiders. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. Get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man Louie T. You guys, thank you so much for joining me on the show tonight. These shows, again, do not happen without your support. Please do me a huge favor if you have not already done so, and hit the subscribe button for more great content. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss a thing, and also hit the like button if you haven't already done so. It doesn't cost you a thing, but it helps this channel grow exponentially. Oh yeah, just in case you are a card collector or you're interested in that, I have another channel, Card Collector Series. Check that out if you haven't already done so. If you enjoy the content, sub it up and continue to watch. If you're not going to watch, then don't sub it up. Okay. But I appreciate you guys. You guys take care. God bless and good night.
LouieTeeNetwork.